Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Hold on a second, I don't have my ads ready to go. Let's see. Oh goodness. I was not prepared. I apologize for that. But anyway, Alchemortis, the new playtest is running right now. It started yesterday, so the way that you can gain access to the Alchemortis playtest is by subscribing on Patreon. Subscribing to either tier will send you a Steam key to your inbox with your playtest access key. But however, you do not need to support on Patreon to get access to the playtest. The playtest will be available to everyone starting on Friday of next week. So the playtest early access period is just that, it's early access. Everyone will get a chance to play the playtest, but this Patreon support helps me out a lot, and you get a couple of good perks too. If you subscribe at this top tier, for instance, that will get you an Alchemortis Steam key for the full game. So you won't have to buy the game when it comes out on Steam if you subscribe to this tier for at least 1 month, and I'm going to put your name in the Alchemortis credits. So definitely consider doing that if you are interested in supporting the game. And I'll also have my Udemy courses available for sale. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. So check those out, and again, please wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. When the playtest goes public on Friday of next week, you'll be able to join a playtest just directly from the Steam page, so there won't be any Steam keys that will be handed out. It'll just be open to anyone who wants to try it, and I'll let you know when that happens, but for now, we're still in that Patreon early access period, and thank you to everyone also who has tried the new version of the playtest and who has given me feedback on that. That's very much appreciated, for sure. I've already written down a bunch of stuff, and I think what we're going to try to do today is we are going to try to basically fix all the bugs that have been brought up so far. We'll fix those bugs, and then we will deploy those changes so that everyone is able to, well, so that everyone has the fixes. Because I'm not going to be around for much this weekend, so I don't want to leave the game. I want to leave the game in as good of a state as possible for, Sunday. And I don't think a lot of these bugs are going to be difficult, actually. I think I already know how to fix all of them. This one is going to be a little bit risky for sure, but I think I'm going to do some more alchemy changes as well. Not for this playtest, but I'm gonna change a little bit of the alchemy system again. I know we're also going to start working on. So once the playtest is feeling good, once I feel like I've added a decent amount of new content to the playtest, we're going to move on to doing bigger things. I think the next phase of development is going to be like, we're just going to start doing things like making really broad brush strokes. So I'm going to make broad brush strokes in terms of the saving and loading system, broad brush strokes in terms of the multiple player character system, broad strokes in terms of the meta progression system. We're going to get all of that into the game as like the next priority. It's not going to be super polished. It's not going to be super well made at first, I'm sure, but that's going to have to go through an iterative process as well, where, you know, I do play tests with the new systems, and then we have to, you know, refine that over time. And hopefully that'll bring the game more and more into focus in terms of like what the full vision is. Because right now, in terms of the gameplay, it's like, I guess it's not like 50% of the game, but it's like 60 or 70% of the game. So we're still missing a good chunk of the game that's really going to keep people engaged and playing run after run after run. One of my friend who was making the music, he tried the game and he said, yeah, the gameplay is fun and I have to make decisions in the runs and that's all good. But the problem is there's nothing to like keep me playing. Like the strategy alone isn't engaging enough. I need some kind of progress. And it's like, well, I'm glad you said that, because that's the next major thing that needs to be added to the game. That's like the critical piece that is still missing. So, but I wanted to get the gameplay generally feeling good, and I think we're kind of in that state now. There's still some like relatively minor tweaks that I want to make, but I think we're past the stage where like the gameplay is going to be like massively overhauled. Obviously there needs to be balanced stuff done. I want to tweak how the alchemy works a little bit more, but I think the game is generally settling into like how it's going to feel for the final release. So now we need to start adding the other stuff that's missing. So anyway, that's going to be the effort for the next couple of weeks, but I guess it's not worth saying that right now because we have some bugs to fix. So anyway, hello Clickertail, welcome back. Do you guys like the new... I didn't like the old message highlight because... Oh my gosh, am I mirrored? I'm mirrored. Oh gosh, that's hard. So, oh my gosh, my hand is disappearing. Anyway, I didn't like the old ugly chat highlight, so this is a little bit nicer, I think, but let me know how easy that is to read on your mobile devices if you're watching on mobile. Hello, Jahar, welcome. And I think I said hello, Clickertail, but hello to you. Hello, Emerson, welcome. Can't wait to play. Yes, indeed. Welcome back, Monkey Software. Hello, Nigramotny. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Good morning. Pretty neat music, by the way. The new ones, too. I love that. Awesome. Let me screenshot that and send that to my friend. I'm just passing along all of your music feedback to my friend who is making the music, because I'm sure he wants to see it. Okay. Hello, Wooius. Welcome back. Always good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Alrighty. Artifact. Oh, I did that one already. Okay, that's done. Alrighty, so let's do some... So we're going to redo the Alembic. So the Alembic is one of these old cards. Oh, I'm in the wrong repository. Hold on. Add new... Gosh, I am like completely unprepared. That's not good. Let's open up Alchemortis. So there's a vibe coding or LLM conversation being had in the Discord, in the Firebelly Discord, and that was happening while I was using vibe coding to get this this new message styling to work, because I didn't want to be bothered to style it myself. So that's kind of funny. Hello, Chalon. It's Arion, right? I don't know how to say the Calandrad. I don't know, I'm sorry, but I'll just call you Arion, I guess. That's okay. Music. Hello, Junie. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, Arion. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Alrighty. Hello, Dione. Welcome back. Good to see you. So anyway, we're going to fix the Alembic, because the Alembic is one of these old cards. So many months ago, I had a bunch of cards that had like multipliers, and I just decided like multipliers don't really work in this game because it scales way too hard. So we're not really doing like multiplier scaling, or if it is doing multiplier scaling, then it's like a very low number. And this alembic, what this is supposed to do is this is supposed to consume turns of the cards that it's targeting and deal poison equal to that. But poison is very strong, and if you have something with like Ninja Link was testing, if you use like the Hellspawn Egg, which has a turn cooldown of 666, this would just like insta-kill any board if it worked properly. It didn't work properly, but that would be an insta-kill for basically any board. So obviously that's too strong. And this ability has just been hard to get to work, and it also has been hard to describe in terms of how it functions. So we're actually going to do something different here. We're still going to make it scale. So it has, the other problem with the alembic is that it has this weird targeting, which is hard to describe in plain words. So if I add the alembic to the game here, vibe coding for graphic design is okay. The idea of using it with the egg was brilliant. Yeah, that was brilliant. I didn't even think about that, but it didn't work. So anyway, so this alembic, the way that this works is it targets cards up. So you've got the L shape here. It targets cards to the right and targets cards up. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out a different word for that. Also, I'm gonna remove these test player artifacts so that we don't have anything interfering here. Okay, so we're gonna change this ability. We don't need this turn consumer anymore. Okay. So we've got the query target provider. Let's do a var value scaler. Well, we already have the value scaler, so we can put the query target provider in here. Dynamic poison, that's correct. Okay, so the scaling func, var scalar is equal to ability scalars dot get poison scalar, and then we're going to do const int base poison is equal to 1. This can be base poison here, and then we're going to do value scalar set multiplier. Oh, this AI doesn't know what it's doing. Okay, so we're gonna make the poison damage increase by 1 every tier, and then this ability now becomes, instead of consuming turns, what this is gonna do is apply poison equal to the number, apply, let's do I don't know if I can do this. 2 string. No, 2 query string. So what this should say is apply X poison for each card up and to the right. Not up and to the right, up or to the right. Well, how do I word that? Up for allied cards above. Right, so now I'm getting into a situation where I've got 2 query directions, so this is like a mask as well. So it's query directions. These are flags. I actually don't know. Do I even need to do this? This bit shifting here? I don't think so. Let me ask the AI. Do I need to do these bit shift values if an enum is marked with flags? Oh yeah, I don't want to let the compiler auto number them. Okay. I guess I assumed that if it was marked with flags, the compiler would automatically just like assign each value to have one bit set. But I guess that's not the case. So we'll just keep it like this. But anyway. Okay, so we're doing a bunch of else ifs here. And that's not going to work because let's say like for the alembic here, I've got up and right at the same time. So it's targeting up. I also just don't have query directions right. Let's rename this to direction suffix. Let's do a new string list. Direction suffixes dot add on the edge of the board. Add, 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 add. Okay. And this is not... I gotta get rid of all these else's. Okay. And then what we need to do is we need to say var formatted direction suffix is equal to direction suffixes dot count is equal to 0, string dot empty. Let's do this a little bit better. Okay. var formatted direction suffix is equal to string dot empty if formatted direction suffixes dot count is greater than 0. Oh no, direction suffixes. Gosh. Okay. If direction suffixes dot count is equal to 2, we're just going to do direction suffix 0 and I think that's right. We're going to join everything except for the last one. And then we're going to I think that's right. We're going to join all of the suffixes up to the last one. Is that going to be right? Take direction suffixes dot count. I guess what I'll do is I'll do if count equals 1, if count equals 2, then we'll do this, and then otherwise this is automatically going to be true. Okay, and then we put the formatted direction suffix there. All right. Let's see if that works. What are the chances you can make a UML to show how you built the project's architecture to show us? I may do that. I do want to do like a deep dive video into how some of these systems work. So maybe when I do that video, I will do that. We want to force singular here. So yeah, if I do a video on the systems in the game, then maybe I'll do that. I only saw UML at university. Yeah, the other thing is I don't really know how to make a UML diagram. I mean, I'm sure it's very easy. Apply 1 poison per allied card above and to the right. Look at that. So that works. It's just that the game architecture is different from web. Oh, just that game architecture is different from the web. So I'd like to see how to think about it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I could definitely do something like that if I ever get around to making that video. If he asks Cursor, it might be able to do it. Oh, Cursor could set up the UML diagram. Interesting. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. It's a possibility for sure. I think when you have greater than 3, you have a comma too much before the end. No, like 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, that's fine. That is grammatic. I mean, I think that's what's called an Oxford comma. But I think that's grammatically correct. I think either one is grammatically correct, but I think what you typically see is you see the comma, like if you have more than 2 items in a row being joined with an and, you do comma after the first one, comma after the second one, so on until you get to the last one, and then it's comma and. So I think it's correct. Highly recommend the Survivors course as a web dev who's getting into game dev. The theory architecture is actually somewhat similar to making a component design system. Awesome, yeah. Thank you, Jay Hart, for recommending that for me. And I'm glad again that you enjoyed the course. Yeah, Cursor and Anti-Gravity can make mermaid diagrams for any project. Pretty cool. Mermaid diagrams? Is that a term I've never heard before, or is that autocorrect? Maybe it's a term I've never heard before. Well, welcome back, by the way, there, Savior. Coffee. Okay, anyway. So this alembic should work now. Let's just give it a quick test. So I've got the alembic that's targeting 2 cards. Okay, so let's just do this. Put a maggot here, put that there. And then we'll put the acolyte here. So this should be applying 2 poison. Nice. Okay, so that ability, it makes much more sense now. I think it's described more clearly. And yeah. And now I can remove that turn consumer as well, because I don't think that's being used anywhere else. I've been gradually trying to remove, so I've got all of these. Oh, turn consumer isn't even in the place. Oh, well, I guess never mind. But this is not used anywhere else. The turn consumer may come back in some form, but I will probably just rewrite it because I'm sure this isn't written correctly anymore. So we'll just delete that. Get rid of that. Okay. We are on the Playtest 3 branch. Okay, so change Alembic ability. I think this is also just going to be, it's much easier to understand. It's much more balanced, and that should just fix the bug by eliminating the ability that was causing the bug. Okay, so the Alembic is done. Gold reagent gives cards massive turn cooldowns. So this, I think this is going to be part of a broader alchemy change. So let's do more tweaks to alchemy here. There's a couple of things that I want to do. So remove turn cool, prevent turn cooldowns from being affected by input reagents. I also may just say, like, don't randomize turn cooldowns, maybe. We also want to preserve all current abilities and enchants of cards in output. Only preserve all current abilities and enchants of cards in output. Only add 1 to 2 new abilities based on input. What else did I want to do with this? Add reagents to support modifying turn cooldown of outputs. Add reagent to support stripping abilities from outputs. So I think the problem with the alchemy right now is that I think it's getting close. I think it's a little bit too random still, so I'm going to try to make it a little bit more controllable. Still have some randomization in there, but I definitely think that it needs some more tweaking. So these are some of the tweaks that I want to make to alchemy. I think this one's going to be really interesting. So instead of randomizing the abilities on every output card based on the inputs, the card will retain its enchants and it will retain its abilities, but it will have new abilities added to it based on the inputs. And we'll test that. I don't know if people are going to like that or not, but I think this will go a long way to preventing like super burstiness too, because I think there's still like quite an incentive to get very powerful abilities on smaller cards that have short turn cooldowns. And so I think if I don't randomize the turn cooldowns and I make it so that the cards preserve their existing abilities rather than purely randomizing them, I think that may go a long way to making the alchemy more predictable. But because it's more predictable, you'll have to think differently about how you're applying the alchemy and not just like hoping to get a small card with a bunch of good abilities on it. So we're going to try those, but this is kind of tangentially related to this one. I think this is going to be this fix here. I think what I'm going to do is just remove the reagents from affecting the turn cooldown output for now. Because gold has a turn cooldown of 79, because I believe that's the elemental number of gold. And so I want to keep that there because it's just kind of like a fun detail. But the problem is that that's giving cards massive turn cooldowns when it gets randomized. So we'll just remove the reagents from affecting the turn cooldown, unless the reagent that I add later is going to specifically affect turn cooldown. Not autocorrect. Mermaid is a more or less same thing as a UML diagram. It shows a flowchart essentially. Interesting. I've never heard that. You're right with the Oxford comma in English. It's just that French, it's not correct. So I assume the same in English. Oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have a date in mind for the release? Optimistically, the first half of this year, so sometime on or before the end of June, but that's going to depend on the marketing strategy as well. It may end up being the case that I wait longer until there's a close Steam Next Fest to where I want to release, so I can get a whole bunch of wish lists from that ideally. And also it's going to depend on the state of the game, right? Like I don't want to just set an arbitrary date and say the game is releasing on this date no matter what. I want to go through the iteration process on this game, make it as good as it can possibly be before I release it, because I think that rushing it is going to be a mistake because there's so much potential here, and I think that a lot of you would agree. A lot of you who have tried the playtest and who have been watching the streams, like you agree that there's so much potential, right? And it's just like, if I release the game with all of these obvious shortcomings or these obvious problems just because I need to hit a date, I think that would be doing a disservice to the potential of the game. So I just want to get it like super refined before I release it. So if that happens within the next 5 months, then that would be great. And if that doesn't happen within the next 5 months and it needs to go longer, then that's what will happen as well. Mermaid is a website that can render diagrams defined by a piece of text code, essentially. Interesting. UML is the general term, and Mermaid is a specific implementation for getting there. I see. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so we're going to fix this gold reagent gives massive turn cooldowns. However, I need to take a quick break. I'm sorry about this, but this is something I need to take care of. I know we just started the stream, but when I come back from this break, we're going to try to go for an hour uninterrupted. So just give me a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Okay. Whew, sorry about that. Let's get to work on this. So yeah, we'll prevent reagents from modifying the turn cooldown in the alchemy system. Alchemy manager. I think this will be relatively easy. Turn cooldowns to randomize. So we've got the adjusted input cards, transmuted card to original card, non-reagent input cards. What is this adjusted input cards? Transmuted card to original card. Dot keys. Okay, that makes sense. Turn cooldowns to randomize. I think I can make this a little bit nicer. So let's do this. Var reagent input cards is equal to adjusted input cards where we're going to do 2 hash set. And then non-reagent input cards is where not reagent input cards contains X. And then in here, oh, I guess I could do non-reagent input cards here. I guess I didn't need to do all that, but that's all right. All right, let's go ahead and try that. So that's basically, I think, the only fix that I need to make, but let's just go ahead and try that. So let's add some gold, and then we'll see, we shouldn't see basically any super high turn cooldowns anymore. So the way that the turn cooldown will work now is it will just take the turn cooldowns of the input cards and it will assign those randomly to the output cards. Got maggot, gold, although, yeah, that should be fine. So we got frog, maggot. Okay, so let's try this. 10, 4, 10. Okay. Let's just do it again. We've got another gold here, so let's just make doubly sure that this is not doing anything. Yeah, we're good. All right. So that fixes that issue. So prevent reagents from affecting resulting turn cooldowns. And actually, I don't even know how this works. Turn cooldowns to randomize. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So that's done. That's fixed. Boom. When doing alchemy with a single card plus reagents, the enchantments are lost. So this is from Ninja Link. So how are the, so we're going to have to fix the enchantments as well. So how are the enchantments? Adjusted input cards. Select many card to get enchantments. I guess what I should do is I should do non-reagent input cards here as well. So I think what was happening is that because a reagent card doesn't have enchantments, well, the problem though is that you could put an enchantment on a reagent card. Most people are not going to do that though. Actually, you know what? I think I'm not going to do that one right now. Well, do I want to do that? Because you could technically put enchantments on reagents. And that will add it to the pool. So the problem right now is alchemy randomizes the enchantments as well. So if you have multiple cards in the alchemy that have enchantments, the output cards will have a random selection of those enchantments. So what's probably happening is that you put a card with enchantments in there with a single alchemy reagent and it strips the enchantments. The way that I'm thinking about fixing that, I don't know how I want to handle that. Well, so when I do these other alchemy tweaks, I mean, I have the cards keep their enchantments, but the problem is you could still end up in a situation where you put an enchantment on a reagent, and then when you use the reagent in alchemy, that just gets lost. I guess that would be okay, because like the reagent is getting consumed. But I don't know if there's a good way to fix it now. I guess, yeah, I guess I could just do that. So we'll just exclude the reagent input cards from the enchantments. Now, I actually don't remember how this is working. Min enchants to take. Yeah, so this should work now. So we'll just do that as a stopgap for now. So let's try this. What is my enchant? Is 4. So we'll generate test map with enchants, and then we'll just make sure that if I'm using, well, wait a second. Let's just do like flint, I guess. It's not going to work with gold because gold gets transmuted into a different card, and so that card won't have enchants, and so that would affect it. But for this case, I need to turn off training dummy. Hello, Ninja Link. Welcome back. Good to see you. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to put an enchant on this first. Hello, Acolyte. You can have that enchant. Okay. We are fixing a lot of the bugs that you reported, Ninja Link. That did not retain its enchantment. Why did that not retain its enchantment? Oh. Let's do that as well. Okay. I also need to do this. If non-reagent input cards .count is greater than 0. Let me make sure I'm not... So the min and max doesn't work on 0 length collections. So I just need to make sure that I'm not doing this min and max operation on a collection that could potentially be empty, because then it will fail. I think that's it. I think that's all I need to do. We will try the Death Orchid just to make sure that works, because that is a reagent which can be the only input, which means that there would be no non-reagent input cards when using the Death Orchid, so that's an easy test case. Okay, no errors, and then here we'll take that. Oh, I need to, gosh, I keep forgetting. Need to put an enchant on this guy. All right, and then we put this over here, and then put the flint in there. That should retain its enchantment now. Perfect. And we'll just give it another try as well, just to be extra sure, but I'm fairly certain that it's not logically possible for this to lose its enchant now. Okay, that works. So preserve, let's just do exclude reagent cards from affecting output and chance. Okay, that's done as well. Shop tooltips sometimes appear twice for cards, so I think I know exactly what's happening here. So I changed the shop. If you remember, if you were here, the shop container, these shelves now have boards inside of them, and so I think that's using the card tooltip automatically now. And so, yeah, I have an extra card tooltip here. So I actually think I can just outright delete that because it's going to use the default card tooltip. So let's get rid of this. And then I don't need any of this. Oh, but I do need to show purchase context. Shoot. We're going to figure out how to do purchase context. Let me see where this is being used. Run manager. Uh-oh. Okay. Card tooltip. Where is this being shown? On card, mouse entered. So there's a couple of ways I could do this. I could pass the card tooltip reference down through the context and pass it into here immediately or automatically. And then I can listen for this on card hover entered and just show that context. The other thing that I could do is I could add in my game events, which this needs to be split up between, I think, game events and UI events, but I could do a card tooltip shown signal in here with a reference to the card tooltip so that I could call this show purchase context on it. The problem is that on card hover entered. I think I'll do a game event for it. That's kind of like not ideal, but I also don't want to pass the card tooltip reference all the way down. So the public delegate void card tooltip shown event handler. And then we'll do card tooltip. And we could pass, do we want to pass along the card as well? We might as well. So the reason I'm kind of hesitant about this is because the card tooltip is not technically a singleton. It could be used in separate contexts as well, but that's why I'm passing in a reference to the card tooltip as well as the card. So what I'll be able to do in the shop container now is I'll be able to check, okay, when this game event fires, is the for card being done for the card that is currently owned by the shop? And if so, then I can show the purchase context. So I think that will be okay. Public static void emit card tooltip shown. Okay, and then in my shop container, we'll rename this to on card tooltip shown. Now, do I have shop configuration? I don't have a reference to the shop configuration. I'm not storing this. Do I want to store that? I suppose I could. Okay, and then in here, we'll do this.shop configuration. Shop configuration. Okay. That's fine. And then down here, on card tooltip shown, if shop configuration card configurations dot any x, this should be for card, and this should be card tooltip. Any x x dot base card is equal to 4card is equal to true. Or let's just do not equal to true. We'll return. Otherwise, we could do card tooltip dot show purchase context. Okay, we'll get rid of this. These can go away now. And now the shelves, do I even need this hover entered anymore? Oh, never mind. That's part of the clickable control, so that wasn't a signal on the shelf itself. So in here, all I need to do is game events.instance.connect. Game events.signalName.card tooltip shown. On card tooltip shown. Okay. And then I need to go into my card tooltip and I need to do this. Game events.emit card tooltip shown. This card. Maybe I should do that after show tooltip is called. I guess that just makes sense based on what the plain language of this method is. Okay. Shop is 2. All right, let's see what happens. I did find one other maybe bug. I still have to double check, but it seemed like the tapeworm's ability wasn't being considered a poison ability. Let's see, tapeworm. I think it's because if it projects an ability, that doesn't count as like it having an ability. So its ability is to project an ability, but it doesn't actually have the poison ability, if that makes sense. Yeah, so this card's ability is the project. It's not the poison. So it doesn't have a poison ability. I know it's kind of confusing, but that's how like the logic of the game works. This is a projection ability that projects poison. It does not count itself as a poison ability. Does that make sense? Hello, Ataxic. Welcome back. Good to see you. All right, so now I should see the purchase context here. So I hover over this. Purchase. Oh, I should probably disable those mouse areas too. Shelf. Base card dot. Actually. Play in. Base card dot disable. Okay, let's try that. I think it makes sense. It would need to project to self. Right. It does, but it wasn't the expectation. I guess I never thought about it because other projections aren't really used that way against the enemy. Yeah, and I can certainly make that clearer, but I think that is how I want it to work from a logical standpoint. So I think the solution there is to maybe figure out how to explain that better. This is going to be a recurring challenge in this game, is trying to communicate as clearly as possible how the things work, and it broke. Let's see. The play-in needs to happen here and not here. Okay. We'll try it again. I think that was just an order of operations issue. There's an error here, but I think it's just failing to place one of the cards in my starting board, so that's good. I wasn't paying attention either, so we got to do this again. So I shouldn't have any hovering while the things are coming in. Now what in the heck? Let's move this as well. For each var shelf in shelves, shelf.disable card area. Public void, enable card area. And then we're going to get rid of where we got the play in here. Get rid of this, get rid of that. Okay. We'll get this right eventually. Okay. There we go. Oh, that's kind of weird. Oh no. So the card tooltip only works if you hover over the card exactly and not like over this part. That's kind of a problem, I suppose. I should probably fix that. But we can see that this shows purchase, no space in inventory, and there's no purchase over here. So that's good. I ideally guess want to show the tooltip. If I hover over any part of this. How am I going to do that? Oh gosh, this is turning into quite the ordeal. Anyway, I think I'll commit these changes at least because these are fixing things. Fix shop double tooltip. But now I just need to make the tooltip show when I hover over any part of this. How is that gonna work? How am I going to do that? Show tooltip. Here we go. I need a reference to the... Shoot. I need a reference to the card tooltip, but it's not a singleton, so it's not really a good thing to do. Okay, well, we might just need to do this context. Just pass it into the context here. And just pass it down. I don't know of a better way to do this. Yeah, I don't really know of a better way to do that. So we'll just pass that along. Okay. Okay, so that will work. And then what do we want to do here? What do we want to do here now? So we've got that in this event state machine. If we go to the shop event state machine here, private card tooltip dot card tooltip. Shop container dot set card tooltip context dot card tooltip. So I may actually end up removing that game event that I did because I'm passing that along now like I originally said I might. So it's okay. It's called we iterate. Public void register card tooltip. Okay. So we'll do shelves I register card tooltip, card tooltip. Okay, so now we have this getting into the shelf. What I should be able to do is well, maybe this is going to be a little bit harder than I thought. I think I need something like public void add clickable area as mouse area. Clickable control, clickable control. Do I need to pass in the base card as well? Clickable control dot connect. Hover entered, callable from on card mouse entered for card. Clickable control dot connect on card mouse exited. For card. Add clickable control as mouse area. On card mouse entered. We probably need to store like a lock system now. Private, dictionary, base card, int, card mouse, hover count is equal to this. Card mouse hover counts dot try get value card out var count count plus plus. If count is greater than 1, we'll just return early. On card mouse exited. We're going to say card mouse hover events card equals count. Try get value out var count, count minus minus. If count is less than or equal to 0, card mouse removes. We'll just do this. Else return. Okay, I hope that doesn't break anything, but basically I'm just storing a lock now. So I can have multiple areas that are all contributing to card hovering. And hopefully that will work. So card tooltip.add clickable control as mouse area this. And then we also need the card. I hope this is working. Do I have the base card at this point when I'm calling register tooltip? Probably not. Let's see if this works. I have no idea if this is going to work. How do you come up with your game ideas and make them original? I have one, but it doesn't seem very original. I'm having a hard time getting past the prototype phase because of this. Yeah, I think that the emphasis that a lot of people put on original ideas is kind of a little bit misguided. And the reason why it's a little bit misguided is because there's not really such a thing as an original idea. Like, there are certainly games that are unique and genre defining, but those are few and far between, right? And even the new games that come out that are like genre defining are usually just remixes of already existing genres. Like, you don't really see something coming out on Steam that's completely brand new. It's usually got elements that are in common with games that came before it. Like, you can even think of something like Balatro. I would say that's a very unique idea in the sense that it's kind of like the first noticeable game to take a typical card game and like wrap it in a roguelite formula and do its own thing with like the jokers and stuff. But even then, it's like, you know, you can see elements of Slay the Spire in there, right? The jokers are basically just artifacts, and, you know, you've got the roguelite progression system, but it's just a card game where you just rack up the score using blackjack. So I would say that that's kind of like a genre-defining game in the sense of like taking typical like board or card games and then like putting a spin on them to make them more gamey and less like the border card games that they're inspired by. But even something like Balatro, like, you can see all kinds of similarities to other genres that already existed, right? So even though a game may be considered as like a genre-defining game, it still usually has a ton of elements in common with other games previously. So I would say, yeah, it's not really about coming up with an original idea. It's about finding an idea that you want to make. You can even go the extra step of seeing like if it's an idea that the market wants, and then just like putting your own spin on it. And your own spin can just be something like, I really loved this game, but it had this one critical flaw that I'm going to fix in my game, right? That could be enough to differentiate you. Of course, if you put a new theme on it as well, so I think Wuius here says, I played the Bazaar and thought I could do this, but with a Necromancer theme. That's exactly what happened. I saw like backpack battles on Steam. I played the Bazaar a little bit. I really liked how the Bazaar felt. I liked how it was like, you know, it had the PvP elements, but it wasn't purely PvP. Like there's this in-between combat phase where you get upgrades and you power up and you get new cards and stuff. And I really liked that. And I said, well, this would be really cool as like a single player game instead of PvP. And of course, I'll just wrap it in like a Necromancer dark fantasy theme, and boom, there's Alchemortis, you know? And Alchemortis does its own things. Like I think the alchemy mechanic is a differentiator in Alchemortis for sure, but even the idea of like mixing and matching things using the game systems, that's not a new idea, you know? Like Noita did that very well. And so I'm basically just kind of, and I don't know what Noita was inspired by, but the idea of like using the game systems to like mix and match things and create your own combinations is not a new idea either, right? Anyway, that's all a long-winded way of saying I think that people focus on trying to be original too much when really all you need to do is just find a game that you want to make in a genre that you want to make, look at the other games that were successful in that genre, emulate what did well for those games and try to fix what didn't work well for those games, and then throw your own theme on it, your own spin in terms of the art or presentation or whatever, and there's your idea. Your idea will be different enough from everyone else that no one is going to accuse you of copying anyone, and it's unique in the sense that there's not going to be any games on Steam that look like that or have those exact mechanics, right? So anyway, kind of like the new setup. Yeah, do you? I like it too. I also added more room to my head, so my head doesn't get cut off as much. I'm thinking of remaking an obscure DOS game as a learning exercise and already found 8 clones, so I guess the answer to that is just do it anyway. Yeah. And here's the thing, right? Even if somebody made the idea that you wanted to make already, chances are that they didn't do it perfectly, that there's still room for improvement, right? It's time for Game Dev once again. Hello, Jagged Daytona. Welcome back. I think this is working, but this gets kind of like making me paranoid, this card mouse counts, but I think this is probably okay. I just think this is probably okay, actually, the way that I've set this up. I guess what I want to see is, like, if I purchase this, is the card tooltip going to get stuck? Nope. And we got this adding lock, clearing locks, adding locks. So I'm pretty sure this logic is fine because... So if I hover over this, I get the tooltip. And if I do this really quick, I just don't want the tooltip to ever get stuck. That would be a problem. But the way that this logic works is that if the tooltip was going to get stuck, it would have gotten stuck anyway. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. If it gets stuck in anyone's playthrough, then I'll revert this change. But I think that's fine. I think the logic is fine. This mouse exit signal is being fired by the clickable control. Now what I could do, just to be extra cautious here, is I could try doing something like freeing the control. So if I go to my shelf here, play in, tween.tween property, tween action, we're going to do a queue free dot set delay 5. So I'm going to try to really break this and see if I can get the tooltip to stick. If the tooltip doesn't stick here, then I don't think that there's really going to be a way to break it. So let's see. So I hover over this, mouse is over this, this is going to free itself and the tooltip should disappear. Yeah, look at that. So I could be extra careful if I wanted to, but I think it's working just fine. I think it's working just fine. So now I can probably remove this game events that I did here. Emit signal card tooltip shown. So I'm just going to undo this that I did. And then we can go to the card tooltip, remove that. And then in my shop container here, I don't need that. Card tooltip. I probably do want a signal actually at this level. Signal public delegate void shown event handler base card for card. And so I'll basically just kind of like duplicate the logic. Emit signal shown card. So now in my shelf, when I do register card tooltip dot connect, card tooltip dot signal name dot shown, callable from base card on card tooltip shown, private void on card tooltip shown, base card for card. If for card is not equal to base card return. Oh, I need to. Let's pass in the card tooltip here. So card. Card tooltip dot show purchase context. Okay, so that's a little bit better, I think. Makes me feel a little bit better, that implementation. So now I have the ability to add extra areas to the card, essentially, to show the tooltip. So now when I hover over any part of this, it works. And then I see the purchase context there. And then when I actually go to purchase it, that works just fine. Oh, I should test that real quick. Hold on. Oh yeah, it got stuck there. Okay, I found a situation where it can get stuck. Okay. That's unfortunate. I think I can just do that. Oh. Oh no, it sets the card to null when it's purchased. Okay, so I actually don't need to do this check. This will automatically check for null here. So that's only going to disable card areas for cards that are still on the shelf. So that should be fine. So if I do this now, and I go here, I shouldn't be able to hover over that and I won't get any tooltips stuck. All right, well, that's somewhat of a dangerous change, but I really think that I've probably handled the cases where it can get stuck. Because this is really the only place where that card tooltip is. I mean, let's see. Trying to think if there's any other situation where I could potentially get a card stuck. I don't think so. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. These kind of lock systems are always a little bit tricky. What I could do is I could, in my card tooltip, I could like have a branching. So I could have a branching piece of logic where I detect if I've added a clickable control as a mouse area, and then I only use the lock logic when that's in place. Otherwise, we just do immediately show and clear. But I really do think that absent a clickable area, this is all like if this wasn't getting locked before, it's not going to get locked now just because I'm incrementing a count by 1 and decrementing a count by 1. So I really don't think that's going to be an issue, but we'll have to keep an eye on it, I suppose. But anyway, fixes for shop tooltips, shop card tooltips. Anyway, I think that's fixed. I'm kind of worried about it, but we'll see. For your first game, the better thing to strive finishing that game rather than anything. Yeah, I agree. OMG 2 cakes, yeah. Hello, Wingsman. Finished your Survivor's Light class months ago and just finished your C# class a couple hours ago, but implemented completely in GDScript to reinforce learning. Learned a lot in both. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for taking the course. Appreciate that. And welcome to the stream, Wingsman, by the way. Didn't even realize you had a new setup. Yeah, it's a little bit different. I think it's better. Looks great. Can I post a playtest 3 feedback here before I forget it? When using alchemy, especially later in the game, it's really hard to tell what exactly changed for each card after the alchemization. Since the input cards equals output cards, it would be nice to have a before-after side-by-side comparison of the old input and the new output, like Diablo does with comparing equipment. Yeah, let me... Okay, I'm gonna write that feedback down, and I'm also gonna take a quick 3-minute break again. And when I come back, we will get through this last bug here, which I actually don't know how I'm gonna fix, but we'll investigate that. So yeah, I'm gonna write that feedback down on my 3-minute break, and then I'm also going to just, yeah, I'll be back in just a couple minutes. And then when we come back, we'll do some more stuff here. Try to just get this feeling good and get all these bugs squashed that people are running into. I agree with that feedback, and I think it's a good idea. Oh, I have an idea. Hold on a second. I just realized that my featured chat here is obscuring stuff a little bit. There we go. We'll try that. Later in the game, when a card could have been alchemized multiple times with lots of added abilities, the list of abilities after alchemy is so long it's really hard to tell. Yeah, and I have some alchemy changes that I want to tweak too, which should make it a little bit more predictable, a little bit easier to understand. But I will definitely write that down so I don't forget that. But anyway, I'll be back in 3 minutes and we will continue on. I'm back. All right, map node tooltips can be easily obscured by tutorial text. Let's see if we can fix that one. So let's just go take a look at the issue first. That's not going to work. I need to turn on the tutorial. Okay. I guess I could have just tested it right there. Oh, actually, maybe not. So it's probably up here then, right? Okay, so this might be an easier fix than I thought. This might be an easier fix than I thought. I think I just need to change the position of something. Oops, there we go. We'll just get there and see what it's looking like and then... Okay, yeah, here. Here's what I'll do. So I could either move this up or down. But what I might do is I might... Let's see. Tutorial guide. State nodes. Let's do this. Tutorial, oops, what did I do? Tutorial seeded run. Tutorial. Where am I actually setting the... Huh? Where am I actually setting the configuration for this? Tutorial... Utils, here we go. Get tutorial map. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's 3. So I'll put this here, and then we'll do set text, flip orientation to true. Set anchor. -12, 16, is that right? Ah, let's try it. And I hope it just puts me directly into that state. Let's see what happens. Then I'll work. Why didn't that work? Why didn't that work? Well, let's just put this here. Maybe there's a timing issue, I don't know. Should just put me right into that state. I don't want to have to go through the whole tutorial just to test this one step. There we go. Okay, that's probably over a little bit too far. Maybe we can just do 0 here. Specifically on the card upgrade node. Yeah, so we'll just change it. We'll just change it to point at this node and we'll flip that text orientation there. And now there's basically no possible way, unless you do this. But fixing the inherent layering issue here is going to be a lot... I think it's going to be a lot harder to do. This is layer 2. Set as world layer. I mean, I can try doing layer 1, and that could fix it as well, but I'm worried that's going to introduce potentially new issues here. Yeah, so he's behind the fog of war now. Okay, so we'll keep it at layer 9 so it renders on top of everything, but we just moved him over to the other node. And now it's basically impossible for that to be a problem unless you're like way over here and you do that, right? Which is fine. I think that's acceptable because most players are not going to be doing that, but that fixes the issue for now. So I'm happy about that. And now I gotta make sure to undo all the changes that I made. So we get rid of this. And then we gotta go back up here and change this back to state start. And we'll just run through the tutorial real quick to make sure that it didn't break anything. But yeah, I love fixing bugs by not fixing them. That's amazing. It's just going to be kind of annoying to get that rendering order to work properly based on how I've set my tree up. And given that I'm probably going to think about redoing the tutorial at some point anyway and making it more integrated with the game, I think it's a fine solution for now. Don't want to spend too much time like fixing that the quote-unquote correct way if it's ultimately going to change in the future anyway. Yeah, I think this is looking good. Well, that's a crash. Nice. Anyway, that is fixed. Close that. Okay. There we go. Look at all those bug fixes. Look at all of those bug fixes. So now what to do? Do we want to do some new content or something? Let's see. Don't use self-verbiage for cards that apply effects to itself. Reserve self for abilities. That is something that I want to do. Let's see how easy that would be. My friend pointed out this issue. What did I say? Self. Okay. So I think I want to use the word self when it refers to applying damage to the self board. But then when we're talking about like this card, I should use the phrase this card. So we'll just click through here. Look for any strings that have the word self in them. I could probably use a regular expression for this. Am I using this self damage anywhere? Orbitoclast. Oh, I should probably change that too, but that's okay. That is the correct use of the word, so that's fine. There may be only like one place where I need to change this, but poison is fine. Poison is fine. Fire is fine. Shield is fine. Bleed is fine. Heal is good. Holy is good. So maybe there's just like one. Yeah, so here, self-exhaust. Exhaust this card. So instead of using the... So self will be reserved for anything that affects like a board level, and then I'll use this card for anything that's like happening at the card level. I think that will be a little bit clearer. Maybe that was the only place where it's being used like that. Apply blind to this card. So blind is not a board level thing, it's a card level thing. So this card, chance to exhaust this card. Paralyze this card for if on the edge of the board, yeah. That's interesting. I don't remember doing tag self name there, but that's interesting. Anyway. I'll have to check the Phoenix as well. I think the Phoenix uses the exhaust self ability, but let's see. That one's good. Training dummy. Oh, these are... I guess I'll just replace this, but that's for the training dummy, so it's not... It's not important. The combat log is probably a... No, that one's good. That's all good there. Cool. I think that is basically all the situations where I'm doing that. So that would really only apply to like paralyze self or exhaust self. So now it's going to say paralyze this card or exhaust this card. Just a slight language change, but I think that does make it a little bit clearer. Great. Cool. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, that's going to be it for the stream today. I'm going to get this new build out. Actually, I'll just show you really quick how that works. So I'll get the new build out for the playtest. I should probably test it myself. Let me think. Well, I can do that. But here's how I do the builds. So I just open up my little terminal here. And what I do is I've got my tags here. So the current version is 0.9.7, and then there's a test tag as well. And that's for the playtest. So there's two different workflows. One deploys to the Steam actual app, like the full game, and then one deploys to the Steam playtest app. So I just do git tag v0.9.8, and then I also do, well, hold on, I might want to get these, that's fine. And then we're going to do git tag v0.9.8 dash test, and we do git push tags. And now that kicks off a workflow in GitHub Actions that will build the game and then deploy the game to both apps. And then I can just go back into the Steam backend and I can set those. So those don't get set as live automatically when you deploy to Steam through CI. So it gets pushed to like a temporary branch. In this case, I've got staging branches on Steam. So this build will get pushed to the staging branches on Steam. Then when I go to my Steam library, I can play the staging branch, which is protected by a password, so only I can access it. I play around with the staging branch, make sure everything's working, make sure nothing broke. And then what I can do when I verified that is I can go to the Steam backend and just promote that version of the build to live, and that's what gets distributed to all of you. So all of those fixes are going to be available in the playtest in just a couple hours here. Thank you everyone for reporting those bugs. Keep reporting bugs as you see them. And definitely leave your feedback as well for the playtest. Again, the playtest is available for Patreon members right now only. So you can go to Patreon, you could join. If you join at any tier, a Steam key will be sent immediately to your inbox as soon as you subscribe. But again, the public playtest, so the playtest that's available to everyone, will be starting on Friday of next week. So you don't need to pay for anything to get access to the playtest. You will have an opportunity to play it. But for anyone that wants to support the game, that wants to support my work, Patreon is a great option to do so. And of course, please consider wishlisting Alchemortis on Steam. That's free, and that helps me a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna go eat lunch, do all that good stuff. I'll get that new build out, and I'm probably gonna take it easy today. I don't think I'm gonna do an afternoon stream, but we'll see. We'll see if I do. But if I don't, I'll see you all back here Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I hope you all have a great day, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye-bye, everyone.